things, but it is what it is. So let's go into the countdown. I thought what we'd do today is have a look and see how I use different services and some different tools that I like to use. I'm just going to bring up the comments area. So if you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Also, let me know if the sound's okay, particularly if my mouth is in sync with the video, because that's always such a nightmare for me. I'm so fed up with it. Right, so I've sort of been trying to set some things up. Let me just flip to the screen so you can see. Let's see if LinkedIn is live. I'm going to have to assume that it is, but that might be silly because LinkedIn likes to do its own thing, not particularly user-friendly. And I reckon that could be it. Oh yeah, so that's going. So we've just come out of that one. On YouTube, I need to go into my studio. These are just little play channels that I have just for testing this sort of stuff out. Obviously not client ones, are they? I go to my videos and then I go to live. And it says live now. And it says I wash my hair, which is actually perfectly true. So that's good. Live video on Facebooks. I don't really care about the rest of these. Is Silk Charm Live. And yes, there we are there. So that went up 2 minutes ago. So that's all good. Okay. Housekeeping over with. Thank you, Gary Hayes, all in sync for me. Hello, Jerry Springfield. The Jerry Springfield? How to get the biggest followings on YouTube. The secret. I don't think there is a secret. Don't put up crap content, but there's heaps of great content with no following, no engagement. So the basic rules are the same with all platforms. Engage with people, get a community behind you, answer their questions, and then play the algorithm game. So the algorithm game needs, for instance, hashtags. Google says they use hashtags. Use your hashtags. Be consistent in your posting, which, by the way, I'm not. But if you say that Monday is going to be jobs and Wednesday is going to be health and Friday is going to be fun and entertainment, that's your programming guide for the week. Do the 3 videos. And I mean, most of the YouTube channels that I've worked on have a large following because they're attached to media. So, you know, if you're a big film studio, then your trailers get a lot of views because you're a film studio and you can promote them, and you've got other outlets like theatres that make people want to come home and watch the James Bond trailer again. I don't know what else. I sort of feel like that you find your way. The key for me with YouTube is don't fight Google, don't fight the YouTube algorithm. And in particular, don't rely on YouTube. And what I mean by that is I have 1,000 followers on YouTube, not a lot, but I have very specific followers. And so I do sponsorship deals to speak directly to those 1,000 people because those 1,000 people are exactly the audience that are required. And what I will say about YouTube is that where I think they screwed up is they screwed up in the long tail. So Amazon makes most of its money in the long tail. The long tail is not the big bestsellers, the #1 DVD collection or the #1 show or the number one book, but in all those little 1 and 2 people purchasing products. If you have a YouTube channel, for instance, and I saw somebody talking about this the other day on astronomy or astrophotography, there may be only 1,000 or 2,000 people in the world that are specifically interested in the astronomy part of astrophotography. This guy's actually got a whole kit in his yard. It's like what are those big things called that you put your camera in? And observatory, like a photo observatory. I think they've got a special name, but that'll do. And he's got one in his garden, and then everybody, 1,000 people, want to know how to create an observatory in their garden. It's such a niche area. And what happens is he does deals directly with companies that charge tens of thousands of dollars for these observatories, because Google's not interested in him and his audience. And I think that those companies would pay a premium to reach that very, very niche, hyper-spendy audience. So build your audience, be absolutely targeted. This is the same for all platforms. Know the algorithm, be consistent, have a programming guide, content calendar, all of that, but be hyper-targeted. If you're hyper-targeted, then you can reach out to sponsors and say, I'm willing to create a video and you can sponsor it, and it'll cost you hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, as opposed to the couple of cents that you get from YouTube Premium. I feel like I waxed on a bit lyrical about that, but anyway, I don't know if that helped, Jerry. What happens if I press this button? Oh, that's so exciting, except now I've got a green screen behind me. And now I don't. Yeah, no, I do. That's silly. But basically, I think if I go here, let me just put in a filter. I just want to add in a chroma key. Maybe we'll get something a little bit better. That's a bit better. So, as you can tell, I'm doing things on the fly. I'm doing chroma keys and LUTs and things like that. Sunday morning is for me to break things. So if you see something broken, A, it's because I'm crap, but B, it's because I'm trying to get better. What can I say? That's just how it works in my world. Right, so let me go to boom. Oh, that worked. Color me surprised. I'm going to go into Twitter and I'm going to go to my lists. And I want to have a look at a few different lists. I think there's a government one I've got. I'm just trying to catch up on news. I don't have time to do this during the week. Help, give me more time. Of course, if I didn't play stupid games. What do we have here? 101 members on MPs. Labour Senator for New South Wales. I was looking at the COVID-19 curated list earlier, and none of it was about COVID-19. It was about Assange. It was about funding for this, that, and the other. And I think that's always a challenge if you try to make a list around people, is that they shift topics. But if you make, and that's what these are lists of people. But one of the reasons I use data monitoring dashboards is because if I track the hashtag, unless somebody is trying to hijack the hashtag, trendjack, newsjack, whatever kind of hijacking, it tends to stay on topic. And particularly politicians, because they have an everyone, everything, every topic brand target audience, so they're talking about everything all the time, unless they're a one-trick pony, in which case they only last as long as that particular one trick is in operation. I always find this sort of thing interesting. The gutter campaign and the argy-bargy, can't pass the buck competently. Oh, mind you, he's not a politician, but Wayne Swan retweeted him. It is critical that we remember that the original trolls are politicians, and it's part of their job. Trolling is debate taken to excess. I'm not sure. I don't want to call... I mean, there's pure trolling where somebody just is a bit of a sociopath and they're just finding small, at-risk, vulnerable groups and inflicting themselves on them. And in those cases, we just remove them. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, and they're gone. Stephen, are you on twitch.tv? No, I think... Oh, am I? No, should I? I thought they were closing down Twitch TV. Aren't they closing it down? I know Facebook's limiting their live TV, and after trying to move all the top YouTubers across onto Facebook and Instagram, they're now shutting down a lot of the Instagram and Facebook stuff, and you can't stream as long as you want to, and all the things that used to happen with Twitch and YouTube, I don't think you can do. But no, I'm not on Twitch TV. I can click that button. My multi-streaming service has the option. Back to trolling. So if trolling is the target audience, somebody is coming in to confront a target audience, a certain amount of debate is allowed. So even to a certain extent, a purpose-built community, such as a vegetarian, vegan community, if somebody comes in and starts trolling by questioning their values, a certain amount of that is allowed, because it's a little bit of excitement, a little bit of allowing them to reformulate and re-articulate their value systems, and then we boot them on the bum and kick them out. But it seems that with politicians, it's very rarely supportive. And we had a little hiatus where everybody was pulling together for COVID-19, and prior to that, everybody was pulling together for the bushfires. And then they're back to trolling each other again. So the next time you see politicians saying Facebook should limit trolls, you have to remember that that actually would impact them more than anybody else. In fact, I've seen politicians impacted by some of the rulings. Let's move on. Let me go back to lists again. I'm just trying to sort of figure out what is news at the moment and what's not. Not-for-profits, 47 members. Let's see what the not-for-profits are up to. I don't know. Has anything been happening in the not-for-profit space that's like big at the moment? I think that not-for-profits are struggling, and I've been working with some, so I'm having some insight. The impact of the coronavirus is on, in one hand, making people want to connect at a humanitarian level. But on another level, everybody's seeing their job and their income, disposable income, as being a finite resource with an uncertainty in the future. The market is uncertain. So even people who... Why am I doing this? Oh, I know. Oh, I went for a bike ride yesterday and I'm sore now. We're going to blame Gary Hayes for that one, by the way. Hi, Gary. There's a really good book that's about how not-for-profits will have to work in the future, especially with user-generated non-profit campaigns. So people can choose a Facebook fundraiser for their birthday and then promote that, and people will give to that, as opposed to maybe giving to people who go door knocking or office knocking or standing on street corners asking for change coins for the not-for-profit. And then of course today, fundraising events, fundraising dinners, fundraising conferences. There's going to be a wee bit of a challenge going forward with some of these things. So we're working on different things, but this is the thing. I don't get to keep up to date on what everybody else is doing. Aged care, man, that's a branding friggin' nightmare on top of another nightmare. How would you redeem aged care as a brand? What would you do? I think transparency is going to be the bottom line. I also think maybe the non-profit space is going to step in here, so that homes are run as a non-profit. I don't know. It's going to be a real tricky thing. I haven't worked in the aged care space for a few years. I can't see anything there either. Come on, maybe it's just Twitter. Unless it's Donald Trump, or sports. There's crap on here. Beth's always good. Her list, social CEOs. What was the story with the COVID-19 vaccine out of Oxford being pulled? Not available, or is being reworked or something? Ursula Le Guin's writing schedule. After 8 p.m, I tend to be very stupid and we won't talk about this. Friends don't let friends drink and write, or Chardonnay and write. Right, bored with these. What's trending? Go back to Twitter. Go to search. And let's have a look at... Actually, let's just go into... What's J.K. Rowling been up to? This story's been going on for such a long time. Okay, I'm moving on. I've had enough of these. Let's go to... Look at the coronavirus feed. I need to switch back occasionally to talking head, because otherwise it gets a bit more boring. I've done a series of 3 videos on how to manage social media in reference to COVID-19, the impact of the special COVID-19 posts and how they have more reach, so use them and then pin them because they get more reach, how to schedule Instagram from the desktop, and the other one was how to boost the COVID-19 posts in a way that doesn't impact YMYL, which is the data set Your Money, Your Life. So anything to do with health, nutrition, financial services is your money, health, nutrition's your life, is looked at extremely closely by the platforms. So Google will demote your YouTube videos because they'll prefer to put a medical journal or something else at the top of the list. And Facebook also has quite strict regulations about anything that impacts your money or your life. I guess it's like just trying to say, that they don't want fake news or false information. They don't want pyramid schemes around nutrition products or financial products. And so YMYL is looked at very closely. I tend not to use those. There's a semantic engine, an artificial intelligence keyword engine. So I try not to use those words unless I absolutely have to. And then, of course, on Twitter, I have a daily financial news service, which I started ages ago and probably should turn off. But I actually have discovered that because I've been doing it for so long now, that my YMYL is actually quite high. So my trustworthiness, authority, author ranking, there's lots of different terms, but they're impacted by what you talk about as much as what you're actually saying and the engagement and that sort of thing. So let me go on to this one. What should we do with this one, I think? Chronic wasting disease. Why is that coming up? Okay. England says test and trace is still shambles. Don't they say that about Victoria in Australia? I'm not sure. AstraZeneca is resuming its COVID-19. I thought they stopped it. Only for several days. That will give the conspiracy theorists something to argue about. So that's the Oxford University's AstraZeneca. It's not really social media, is it? But let's have a look at what Facebook's been saying. So Krispy Kreme Australia has transformed its Instagram with sugar. I'm not looking at that. It's just going to make me want to have a donut. Delivering brand impact with the optimal media mix. L'Oreal Australia, and then a not-for-profit, Alana Madeline Foundation. Which one should we look at? I don't know. Alana Madeline, because I was looking for something on not-for-profits. It's screen time. I wonder how many organizations admit that social media really helps at-risk people to stay connected. If you're at home, imagine we were at home during COVID-19 and there was no social media. And you might think, that's great. It's just me and the family and the kids, and we do cooking together and knitting together and cleaning the house together or something. But what about the people that are single? What about the people who live in remote areas? What about the people who are at-home caregivers and so have to stay with that person pretty well 24/7? While there's a lot of studies that show how important social media is to rural workers, people working in mining places, or people at home working from home, or singles that are stuck at home, terminally ill. I've worked on some terminally ill people communities. We don't hear about that very often. We always hear how bad social media is. It's terrible. Yes, we're using social media to talk about how terrible social media is. Kogan Australia. All right. If you're not familiar with Kogan Australia, it's Australia's version of Amazon. Not eBay, Amazon, I think. Or, I don't know, Chompon? Groupon. And so there's been a recall of magnetic toys. Got an itchy nose all of a sudden, not picking it. And we also have updates, coronavirus. The Blue Mountains grammar school student is amongst the 6 new COVID-19 cases. This is important because, yes, I live in the Blue Mountains of New South Wales. There was a study done in April or May that attempted to identify, it was using data research, so it took a whole lot of data sets, like big data, so more data sets than human beings can crunch or manually evaluate, and asked the algorithm to identify where the next outbreaks of the coronavirus would be in New South Wales, and Blue Mountains came top or second top. I know Blackheath was second top, and Katoomba was on the list, and Mount Victoria and somewhere else. I really want to see those data sets, because when I look at algorithms, the way that you weight the different bits of data is really important. And so, as an example, with the Blue Mountains, we're a thoroughfare. What am I trying to say? From Sydney into the Central West and then into other states. So you can go to South Australia through the Blue Mountains from New South Wales. So we have a transitory population. And that's an issue, because I know that the hotel breakout Crossroads had something to do with a truck driver coming in from Victoria, a super spreader. What else is there? We also have a high percentage of older people here, retirees. In fact, the demographics and psychographics of the Blue Mountains is really interesting. Like, if I was to look at it as a community, an online community, then I would say that there's a high proportion of low-income people, because it's cheaper to live in the mountains than it is to live in the Sydney CBD. We also have a strong arty-farty, technical term, community here. And not that it has anything to do with coronavirus, but just it's an interesting psychographic. It's a separate psychographic. The arts community is very strong. We have a strong retiree community, particularly older media, ex-media, not old, ex-media people retire up here. There seems to be a lot of tradies, but I don't think they work up here, because I can never get them. I think they work in Penrith and the outlying areas, but they live up here. Who else is there? I don't know that there's a huge family. I doubt it. We have some schools, but I don't think it's like a suburbs type of area. So when they talk about someone being affected with a positive COVID case in the Blue Mountains, I always go back to that report, which the data analysis, which said the Blue Mountains would be a big outbreak if it happened here. So no, I'm not leaving home anytime soon. Let's see what else we've got here. Let me just check the chat for a second. Nope, nobody's chatting with me. Don't you have any questions? Never mind. We're back here again. And if you've just joined me, all I do on a Sunday morning is flick through my social media monitoring dashboards, check all my content, and catch up, so that if I'm doing Zooms with clients or doing some training or some webinars or something during the week, some smarty pants doesn't say to me, hey, did you know blah, blah, blah has been released this week? And I'm like, no, I didn't get a chance to check everything out. What should we look at? I don't know if the official LinkedIn blog is still... They're not doing a lot. 18 days ago. LinkedIn, get your act together. My problem with LinkedIn is they do what's called dumping. They don't do anything and then they dump 50 million videos on YouTube and then they're off again and we don't hear from them for months. What's Twitter's latest news? August the 26th. Oh, that's their YouTube channel, I think. Yeah, okay. What's Buffer telling us? Why is their feed not working? Buffer resources. Buffer, get your act together. 5 months ago. I suppose that means I have to get a different RSS feed. Bufferapp.com, is it? Or buffer.com? I think they switched it. So I need their news RSS. So do we have an RSS feed? Not on here. So they must have a blog. I don't know. These companies that don't like to promote their content. Here's a tip. Always look up the brand kit for any brand that you want to talk about online. And they'll actually tell you what logos you can use. So Facebook has a brand kit and Twitter has a brand kit. So when I'm doing courses, I make sure that I follow their brand guidelines, that I say that it's not authorized by Facebook, that I don't bodgy up some logo or just download a screenshot. Can you see anything here that looks like blog or news? They've got a podcast. I suppose I could put the podcast in, but I don't like podcasts. Culture blog. Community? Could be the resource. Maybe the resource center would be a good thing to capture. I just want a blog. They don't have a feed. What's that one? Oh, that'll do. So I want to copy link address and then you have to faff it in here because Google Chrome doesn't give you proper ones. Let's go to add. You have to take out that view source. Buffer resources. And I'm putting it in vendors because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm buying services from them. Which probably means I'm going to have to get rid of this one. So let's have a look at this one. 10 days ago. Oh, shareholder updates. Didn't we look at this last week? Because I asked the question, are they doing better or worse because of coronavirus? Betterer. Much betterer. Restream, why aren't you updating? Never mind. One of the things that we know is that social media usage has gone through the roof since March. So if you're not spending money on advertising, traditional advertising or social media advertising, then absolutely be doing social media content. Because of the additional usage of social media, the likelihood of your stuff being seen is much higher. And even if you're closed, get it together. Look, there are 3 hairdressing salons up here near me in the mountains. One of them has consistently been doing social media even for the whole time that they were closed. Jokes and things like the trend for showing, what's it called, the coronavirus haircuts, where people have done home haircuts. They've done, I think they're called lockdown hair, if you want to Google it. And so they've shown lots of the funny things where people have tried to cut a fringe themselves and it's all over the place and things like that. One hairdresser's done that. The other 2 hairdressers just put up, I think it was in March, we're closing for the foreseeable future. We don't want to be at risk. We don't want our families at risk. We don't want our staff at risk. We don't want our clients at risk. So we're closing, and that's all they did. And 2 of them have now permanently closed, and the other one has reopened and is taking lots of bookings, and I noticed has added additional products the other day, and no prizes for guessing which one has reopened and which 2 have permanently closed and now have for lease signs. Really sad, but social media is part of hanging in there by your fingernails, hanging on by everything that you've got. And no shame if you just can't face it and it's the right time for you to close down, and this was the final straw that broke the camel's back. But I would have said that the other 2 hairdressing salons were actually in better positions, which probably means they had more outgoings, but they just didn't use social media in any way, shape or form to keep the community engaged. No, I don't think that social media will save a business, but I don't think it's going to hurt. Back to the screen. Let's see what else we have here. Just checking what's going on. I'm assuming LinkedIn and Twitter and all the rest are still working. Let's have a look. That's a good idea. Nothing in notifications or mentions. And in Facebook's, a few people. Okay, that's good. So I want to now, we did Buffer app. What else are we going to do? I just need to stay up to date on everything. So I'm forcing you to stay up to date with me. What's that one? Facebook for Business. Improving ad performance through ad volume guidance. Ad volume guidance. Ad limits. Oh, okay. So, because you can personalize ads, so I can target, I don't know if you remember, but you used to be able to target people named Gary or people named Stephen. Hi, Gary. Or people named Jerry. You used to be able to target them with the ad of a t-shirt that had that person's name on it. And I've even seen ads with Laurel, which is bizarre because when I go into news agencies and they have key rings and cups and little things there, they always have Laura and sometimes Lauren, but Laurel doesn't exist. So I can't buy cheap crap from the news agency even if I want to. And so you can do I guess what I'm saying is you can do hyper-personalized ads, and they're limiting the volume of these. I'm wondering how eBay is going to work because of pixel retargeting. You can pull the creative from the catalog and dynamically create ads from your catalog. So if you have a furniture store that has thousands of products, or eBay with millions and billions of products, UK fashion retailer boosted incremental conversions by 21% using dynamic formats and ad creative. Oh, I think they're just saying, please swap out doing 50 million ads with use the tools that we give you instead. Oh, I know what we can look at. Let's go into ads library and let's see the dollar spend of some of our big spenders. I just like seeing how much they're spending on ads. So if I go to here now, yesterday this was showing me how much he spent, because I was working with some politicians. Oh, it's Australia. Politicians' offices, and we decided we would have a look at what politicians were spending globally. Let's do issues. Yeah. I don't get the ad library. Sometimes it shows me how much they're spending and sometimes it doesn't. Literally Friday, it says, oh, there it is. I must be blind. I need a coffee. I've been up since, I don't know, 2 o'clock this morning, and I didn't flip to the screen. I'm such an idiot. Anyway, I'm on the right screen now. Ads library. So he spent almost $79 million since May the 8th. And then in the last 7 days, 2.8 million. So that's quite a big spend. But they have an election soon, so expect to see this vary. And typically, oh look, I've got the thingy over my shoulder, little star thing. We've got here I want to see spend details. I don't suppose it'll give me his credit card. So the disclaimer, Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated spent the most. The Trump Make America Great Again Committee spent $15 million. And then $39 million. These ads ran without a disclaimer, 215,000. Some politicians, more than I would have thought, given how long this has been in for, are running ads without disclaimers, which is against Facebook's terms and conditions and against usually country advertising regulations. Go check ACMA or someone like that. Disclaimers are like, this ad was brought to you by, or approved, or spoken by and approved by, and you've seen those things on ads, I'm sure. That's kind of interesting. Let's see the spend detail here. The two main pages. One Nation. These advertisers have paid for ads. Yeah, we know that. We already saw that. Just out of interest. Oh, we can go state by state. What do you reckon the ads are in California? Nevada? Why are they running ads? Oh, because you can travel from California to Nevada, hop, skip and a jump, drive, I guess. That'll make him popular in California. Why don't you leave California, come to Nevada, and then drive back again, all during the middle of a pandemic? Sometimes they tell you the actual ad spend. Oh yeah, okay, the amount that was spent, and also who they targeted. So what you typically see with Trump is it's right up there. This ad was shown in Nevada, Arizona, and California. And sometimes things just transfer across boundaries. People's phones are re-registering across the boundary and different things like that. Or they work in one state and live in the other state. Is that possible? I think because California and Nevada have a border, they probably do. So for 50,000 impressions, he paid about $800 US. I don't know. Is this interesting to you? I just like to keep up to date. If I don't keep up to date, it gets overwhelming. There's such a lot of information and there's such a lot of changes and shifts, and it's no good me doing what I always do day in, day out, or teaching clients to do things the same way that we did them a year ago or 5 years ago, because things change. In fact, one of the things I've noticed with my clients is, especially for the Zoom sessions and training, is they come back year after year because I go, oh, guess what I found out? And then we go in and we explore that and we talk about what's worked, what's not worked, where I've seen it working. And I also keep up to date. Let me see if I can find one here with the actual data research centers. Am I saying a lot? I feel like I am. I'll do this for next time. I will create a dashboard just on big data, because you really have to go to, is it this mob? You have to find the feeds for the actual big data centers and follow what they're doing. So the Google testing blog, is that one still operating? Let me go back to here. 39 months ago. 91 months ago. So I want Google developers. And I think maybe they're in my video area, because some of them do videos. Here's another answer to Jerry, who asked how to get the biggest followers on YouTube. Subscribe to the official YouTube channels, which is, they have a Twitter channel, they have a LinkedIn channel, they have a YouTube channel, and follow their instructions, because they're updating you all the time on what they're doing. So we've got Team YouTube here. Again, out of date. 10 days ago. YouTube back to school. So if I go to facebook.com, actually I think it might be in my bookmarks. Facebook developers. We'll have a look. One thing you'll notice is that they stop and start their programs, and they also shift platforms a lot. So sometimes they're using WordPress and sometimes they're not. And so I can pull some of these into my dashboard. And they don't have an RSS feed. It's so bizarre. Why don't these people have RSS feeds? I mean, I can burn a feed pretty easily, actually, and force a feed so I can stay up to date. But we'll just give this one a go and see if we can do something. It did work. And we're going to put that in. Where are we going to put that in? Facebook feeds. It's not quite the right place, but I can move it later on. So Facebook developer. So I need to create a folder called Big Data or something. So we've got a challenge. introducing the Graph API and Marketing API 4 months ago. Ooh, so there's going to be some big changes to the app. What should happen is Apple inform their partners, including Facebook, and Facebook is deeply integrated into the Apple iPhone. It's if you go in here, it's not just the Facebook app that's updated, but it's in the system settings for the iPhone itself. So it's fully integrated, which is why you can share to Facebook from a news service that you're reading, things like that. It's fully integrated. So Apple inform Facebook, Facebook inform their developers, the developers inform their what are called marketing partners. So as an example, Buffer app or Hootsuite, or if you're using any app on your phone, and then it breaks, which is why people say to me, I used to be able to use Instagram with this third-party app like Hootsuite or something, and it's not working at the moment. What should I say? What's the problem? And I'm like, well, it would have started with these guys, and then they would have passed it to these guys, and they would have passed it to these guys, and it's just part of how the workflow works. Let's just have a quick look and see what the other young Gary Friedman has to say. Are you green screening yourself into the corner? I still have to learn this skill. Do I have to have my ATEM plugged with cord into my PC while on chat in Zoom or Teams? Love the other confused Gary. I don't think my Gary's confused because he helped me with it. But for these lives, I switch around OBS Project and Zoom. So when I'm talking privately to clients and I'm doing private sessions with clients, I run my ATEM Mini and my cameras and my mics all into OBS Project, and I don't use the green screen on the ATEM Mini. I use it in OBS Project. And all I have to do is connect OBS Project to the Blackmagic A10 Mini Pro, ISO, whatever you've got. And then I add, for instance, a blue image. And then I click on the camera and I say green screen, and it turns my green to black. And then I drop the blue image in. It's actually the one below the camera. Then I have to connect it to Zoom, and all I do is I go to, let me see if I can show you. No, I can't because it's going to get all confused. But I go up to in OBS Project, I go to my tools menu, and I can use virtual camera and then bring my Zoom back into OBS Project, and then OBS Project goes public. So I kind of have it separated. OBS Project goes to Zoom and then to private clients, or I have Zoom into OBS Project, which then goes out into public broadcasting. You're still confused, aren't you? Don't worry about it. Maybe I'll make a little video on it. It's not the sort of thing I can do live, because I'm actually using those services. Maybe that helped. I don't know. What else do we have here? If you're just joining us, this is my Sunday social. Can't remember what I actually put out on the channels because I forgot to update them, so it's probably all wrong. But what I do on Sunday morning is I faff around on the internets, and you faff around with me, and I answer questions, and I look to see updates and to try and find out what's going on out in the world. Oh, Gary, don't cry. Sweetheart, don't cry. Just connect your mic and your cameras to your A10 Mini, and then run it into OBS, and then OBS into Zoom, and let OBS handle the straps at the bottom and all these different layouts. So this one allows me to have an embed with live comments, the one you're seeing currently. This one, although I've faffed the corner a little bit, but this allows me to have layer me, my camera, Sony, with a green screen, which I then put a chroma key filter on, and then I share my screen. So I layer a full screen, display screen share, and then I'm in the corner. This one is just purely for screen, for when people get fed up with looking at me, which I don't blame them. And then this one here is back to talking heads again. And if I turn off this, it just goes black, because that's how OBS handles green screens. And then I can flick backwards and forwards. I don't know that there's much more news. What else has been big news this week in social media? Let's go back to today. It's going to take everything. Let me have a look at Australian social media. We've got here now, that's interesting. I think what we're going to find is that as conspiracy theories come to the fore, Facebook and Twitter as media outlets are going to be put in the crosshairs of fixing everything. But by the same token, they're going to be penalised if they link to official sites on official media, a la the ACCC fiasco. And then, of course, you've got the other kind of trolls, which are comedians. The role of the comedian is the court jester. The court jester was the original troll hundreds of years ago, whose job it was to say that the emperor has no clothes. And of course, that was not popular and is still not popular today. Oh, goodness me. I don't know. I think that one of the challenges at the moment, I might do a whole video on this, but is this misconception that Facebook and Google steal content from media. And I think what's going to happen is the ACCC is going to kill off heritage media in Australia with their absurd claims. Media companies have to sign up for instant stories and AMP, what's it called? Amplified mobile. What's Google's AMP? AMP mobile. Is it mobile? Accelerated mobile pages. Why couldn't I remember that? I know that. So media companies sign up for this and they agree to the terms and conditions. They also can sign up for revenue with instant stories and all the other things. And now the ACCC is stepping in and saying they're not allowed to do that. And it's going to kill off media. So, I don't know what to say. The Atlantic Monthly had an increase in 8,000 subs a month by using these services. And I don't know. I think the ACCC doesn't understand the technology. You know what would be interesting? If media companies paid Facebook to send the traffic to them, or to read the articles under the AMP and Instant Stories umbrella. Because Amazon has an affiliate program which says if something's shared on Facebook and people click on it, then the person who shared it gets a clip of the sale. Pinterest took that to the next level and said if the person pinning the item isn't part of the affiliate program, then Pinterest would add, and they belong to a lot of affiliate programs, they would add their affiliate link on the end of that user-generated content link. It's almost like media's gone completely the other way. And I don't see a good outcome for this at all. I actually think that media should be paying Facebook and Twitter to share the links, and there should be a clip of the sale, because if you think about it, media 99.9% of the time stealing our stories. So I don't know if you know, but they've got data research dashboards. They're looking to see what's trending on social media, and then they snaffle the top trending topics and they repurpose them. They embed a few of Donald Trump's tweets or whatever, and then that becomes the top story. So a lot of it is collating and curating our stories and then wrapping ads around it and then charging a small amount for subscriptions, because it's a double dip. We pay to subscribe to the newspaper, and then the newspaper gets advertising revenue. So our stories collated together, adding this other stuff on top. And now they want the people who send them the traffic to pay them. It's not going to end well. It is not going to end well. Thank you, Gary. Gary Friedman. That's a very nice comment. I'm not going to repeat it because I'm shy. No, I'm not shy. But I am trying to get stuff done here. What else? What do we have left? We can't have too much more left. Oh, I do have a big data feed. I thought I didn't have one. Portland City Council votes to ban facial recognition technologies in public places. I have been waiting for this. I don't know if you know, but Facebook has a facial recognition program. So does Google, so does Apple, and they underlie everything. It's brought in, those data sets are brought in, and I would say a lot of people don't know about this sort of stuff. It's actually called deep face. No, yes, deep face is object recognition and facial recognition. Deep thought is Google's. Deep mind. I'm really not doing well today, am I? Is this AI on object recognition? Graphing neural networks. It's about machine learning. Deep thought is maybe Facebook. I don't know why they like all these terms. Deep thought, deep think, deep face. That's a good one to monitor, research.fb.com. That's their data research center. Let's go to Wikipedia. It's Sunday morning, I need the Wikipedia version. Let me make that a bit bigger for you. Deep learning facial recognition, object recognition, doesn't have to be faces. 120 million connection weights. That's more than I can do. I mean, my brain probably assesses that many, but not manually. The FBI's next generation system. So what one is Portland blocking? I don't want to block. One prohibits the public use of facial recognition by city bureaus. This is the opposite in Australia. In Australia, they're pushing and pushing the boundaries at the moment. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think that we should do everything we can to manage coronavirus, but we shouldn't use fear, like terrorist fear and virus fear and bushfire fear, to lose our fundamental privacy. So they're banning the use of facial recognition technology. And they can't use body cameras with facial recognition. So this will stop police from running around during peaceful demonstrations, I'm saying peaceful demonstrations, and just filming everyone and letting the algorithm identify them and mark those people, which is pretty easy to do because of the way that the neural networks work. And also, if you look at the social graph, I'm friends with these 10 people. I'm friends with these 10 people because they share my values, they share my interests, my passions, my fears, my concerns, my conspiracies, my whatever. And so it becomes pretty easy to use the social graph to then, if you have a photo of a face and it's somewhere near Laurel, it's easier to go through Laurel's network and map and find that face than it would be to say the whole world. Let's try India and Russia and other places to see who this person is. A moratorium on biometric identification in schools. I think Australians would be shocked if they knew how much the Australian government is spending on big data. I think they'd be truly shocked. Just looking over at the comments. Actually, I just want to check something. Let me go into my notifications. So guys, you're going to have to put up with me for a second. Faffing. Sunday morning faff. All right, so I'm just seeing if I've got a collator that collates all of the comments in one stream, but I suspect that there are more coming through that I'm not seeing, and I would be very upset if that was true. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I should really play some music. What music can you play, though, these days without 50 million people getting mad at you because you're using copyright material? I mean, I don't have an issue with copyright, but I wouldn't mind playing classical music. But I'm pretty sure that classical music is also covered under copyright, not because Mozart holds the copyright. I don't know if he does or not. But because the musicians that recorded that piece own the copyright, which is fair enough, but I just want a license that doesn't cost the earth to be able to play music. And the other thing I noticed is that with YouTube, and I think with Facebook now, because I was looking at rights management, let me have a quick look. Creator, I'll bring you into this one. Studio. Let me go into that one. So there's a rights management area here for Facebook. So for some of my clients that see, I really stuffed that up, didn't I? Oh, never mind. Some of my clients who have film rights, movie scores, music rights, this they need this. So this allows them to manage their rights, I guess. And YouTube has it too. Most of it's an algorithm. It's looking for specific beats and music. I know one thing that the YouTubers do, which is extremely naughty, is they grab the music and then they use an audio editor and I think they raise the pitch or lower the pitch slightly, and then the algorithm gets fooled and thinks it's a different piece of music. Babble, 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 gaggle. Oh, when I said talk amongst yourselves. Yes, okay. All right, I'm going to do some other things now, I think. I have to write an analytics report. If you want to see that, I could maybe make a video on how to write a social media analytics report. I don't know. You'd have to let me know. I can't imagine people being that interested, but what's involved in a report for clients, what's an important measurement, what's not, let me know. Now, last Sunday, I said that on Monday, the Monday gone, I would do a jobs thingy first thing in the morning, social media jobs. But we had a knock on the door first thing Monday morning, and it was our local council who'd come around to do some checks. So a nice man. So I walked him around the garden and we looked at the property, and at the moment we're also trying to prepare it for bushfire season. So there's quite a lot to do there. So it completely went out of my head that I was going to do a live stream for social media jobs. However, I have an old-fashioned diary. Old-fashioned meaning not digital. And I'm going to pop it in there, and we will do jobs tomorrow morning. I'm going to say, I'm going to try 10:30 a.m. Sydney time. I thought that people would watch the videos at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 on their way to work, but I actually think now, having got some comments back, that there's too many other things to do on a Monday morning. So we're going to make this 10:30 a.m, which is a morning tea time, and I might just call it morning tea. Tea with Laurel? Morning tea with Laurel. Coffee time. Doesn't everybody have coffee time? And I like tea. My tea comes in a cup which says Little Miss Sunshine for the Soul. Oh, that's coming up blue. Because, what's this? It's magic. Because of my screen. Oh, now it's black. So it's actually got a yellowy green in it, and that's the colour of the green screen. Sorry, little things amuse me, Anyway, 10:30 tomorrow morning. I don't think I've got a Zoom. Have I got a Zoom tomorrow? No, I'm not going to share my calendar with you. I'm tired. No, I've got the Cairo in the afternoon though. Oh, never mind. Okay. 10:30 in the morning, I'm going to do social media jobs and some other newsy type things. I don't think it'll be as long as this one. Bit more prepped, a little less, faff with me. But something that people can tune in and watch at 10:30 for 15-20 minutes and go about their day. I think that's a good use of a Monday morning. I'm not sure what I need to include. I think a job of the week, news of the week, tip of the week, the weather, and yeah. Oh, my physical courses in Sydney are on hold until the end of November now. I'm in the process of letting the people who signed up for the end of September courses know. It's one of those things I almost feel like if I go ahead with the end of September courses, we're going to have a big problem and I'm going to have to shift things and take risks, and I just don't want to do it. And I feel like if I cancel the courses, Sydney will just continue to motor along. The COVID stuff will drop further, and by the end of November we'll be all safe and healthy. So in the interest of keeping everybody safe and healthy, I'm moving everything to the end of November. So there's a 2-day Facebook and Instagram course and a 3-day advanced, and it is advanced, it's for government and public relations and things like that, social media course. My Zoom sessions, I'm still offering, I think it's a 3-hour or 4 hours that you can use up any time over 3 months, and a 6 or 8 hour. And there's one for teams, and then there's one for one-on-one. It's actually 1-on-2. If you've got a friend, you can bring a friend. What else do we have? I'm putting together a live series where you'll be joining me, and that'll be private. So, and that'll be working through each week a social media fundamental, but in a more advanced way. So 1 week will be understanding the algorithm, and another week will be writing corporate reports, and another week will be doing messenger advertising. I want to stay away from the really super basic stuff like how to create a Facebook page or how to create a Twitter account, or how to use a hashtag. More like how to measure a hashtag, how to resource and find those. So haven't organized that yet, but whenever you see this, if you're interested, you should let me know, because I'm going to limit the numbers on that one. 10:30 tomorrow, morning tea time. If you're interested in that, subscribe or do whatever it is you need to do to be notified when it goes live. If you're not interested in that, fine. I'm not hurt at all. Enjoy your weekend, and I will now go into the countdown. Bye. 8, 7, 6, blah, 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 blah.